whether I'm working on a group project or a solo project, it's like I'm going to do music in some shape, way, or form. So, but I mean, dude, you're getting deep already. We're only like 2 minutes in, man.
Yeah.
So you gotta relax, man. You gotta relax. You know. So.
Well, because it's something that, like, bro, I've spent the last like almost like 15 years trying to like figure out myself, like really intently, especially with more of the mental health stuff.
Right.
I can finally say I've gotten to a point in my life now where I understand like depression, and where at least how it worked in my life, and anxiety and where it comes from.
Right.
I've gotten to a point now where it's like it's not even a thing to me anymore, because I know where it's coming from.
Right.
But like I resonate wholeheartedly with what you said with like the music and the out of body experience. And I think like with music, I remember working, I was like a server at a restaurant, and a bartender, we were talking about music or whatever.
Right.
And he was like, yo, man, there's nothing more, there's nothing that beats the high of like playing music live. And so this guy's like, he said he tried a whole bunch of other things, but nothing ever came close to that. And for me at the time, I didn't, like, I rapped a little bit, like back in the day, mess around free, like Sony Vegas and all that. But when I heard that, I was like, what? Like, especially being a shy kid, it's like, what is that? Like, what do you mean? Like, what is it? Like, so when I started playing bass, or like when I played my first show, like, it's the most, I think living and being in the present moment, nothing comes close to playing an instrument live in front of people. I think because you're so, I don't know if this happens to you, but like, let's say if I'm playing a show, I'm playing on stage or whatever, if I stop to think about what I'm doing, I screw up. It's this thing, it's this thing where it's like, bro, just sit back, kick your feet back, relax, and just trust this. It's like jumping into the river and just trusting the wave.
Yeah, I mean, dude, for shows, and it's crazy because my wife, she'll be like, do you get nervous before playing? And I'm like, no, I only get nervous the moment I'm on stage, but it's not even a nervousness. It's more of an anxious feeling, like I can't wait to play kind of thing. And I think the greatest feeling is when you, like you said, I agree, you got to really let go and really just let the music take control. Cause you know, most of the time, you know, like with my wife, she'll be like, how do you play that? And it's like, well, it's muscle memory for the most part. You know, I already know where I'm going. But, you know, there's been times where I'm overthinking and I'm like, I'm trying to look too cool. Yeah. And then I miss a note and I'm like, my God. And now I'm thrown off because now I'm focused on the mistake and not the music aspect of it. Because 9 times out of 10, the people watching you don't even realize you made a mistake.
No idea.
You know, so, but unless you go, then they're like, oh, well, something must have happened. I don't even know what happened. And then it's always weird because then after the show, you get all these people like, dude, you were sick, man. That bass thing you did here. And you're like, I thought I did terrible.
Yeah, bro, I screwed up, man.
Right, I messed up. So now I definitely get that whole getting outside of your mind. And it's hard because as creative people, we're also the most critical of ourselves and of whatever we put our work into. We're very critical of it. Just quick example, like when I rap, I let my wife hear it and she's like, that's dope. And I'm like, no, you ain't hear this part? I messed up like right here. I gotta, you know, and it's like, I don't have an unrealistic standard, but to an extent, I am a perfectionist because it's like if someone doesn't, I don't know, it's weird. I'm kind of hard on people who listen to me. I'm critical of myself and people who listen to me because it's like, I want you to appreciate it just like I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I'm very intentional with my lyrics or my bass stuff. Like, I want people to be like, yo, you did that, or like, yo, that was dope. But it's like, I want you to know why it was dope. Like, do you understand what I said when I said this bar? Like when I wrote that, whatever the line I wrote, you know, I want people to catch it, you know, but you know, you also have to understand people have a different appreciation for music. So you also have to take that step back and say, you know, some people like it for the lyrics, some people like it just because it sounds good. Yeah. You know, some people like it for the technicality, you know, like I do a bass tapping part in a song and people are like, that's dope. Yeah. You know, some people like it because it's just tapping, you know, but some people like it because it's like, oh, that sounds dope, you know, so it's kind of having that balance so you're not kind of pushing people off, if you will. You're not too critical of it.
It's interesting. Like I find that, at least for me personally, like when you said that you let your wife listen to your music, I'm so like self-conscious of sharing any of my stuff, even with my girlfriend half the time. Like I show her something, I'm like, it's not done. It's not done. Like before I even open it, it's not done. It's not finished yet. Like I just still gotta do this.
It's unmixed. It's unmixed.
Yeah,
it's
unmixed. Don't judge
right,
it. I'm like,
right.
I still want your opinion though, so I get myself into a little pickle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think in terms of perfectionism, how do you has that ever gotten in your way of starting something? Because I find like a lot of times that people, especially creative people, they want something to be so perfect because they have the vision in their head or whatnot. Right. How do you find balancing the creative aspect and putting yourself out there and doing what you want to do with perfectionism and perfection?
Oh yeah. I mean, when I was younger, I was like that. I would be like, this ain't coming out until it meets it gets a little check on every box.
Yeah.
But now, I'm learning that if you strive for that, it'll never be done. It just never will. It's like, there's always something that you can critique about it. There's always going to be that little, if I just did this, hit that note or whatever. I mean, even now, even the stuff I released, I'll listen back to it and I'd be like, I could have did something, I could have did this better or anything like that. But I realized it puts you in a bubble almost, like it puts you, it traps you. And when you set that bar that high and you never get there, you never achieve that level, then you just always find yourself at step one. You just keep, and then it becomes repetitive. And we know insanity is doing the same thing over
and over, expecting a different result.
Right. So, for me, I had to reflect on myself and, I had to really ask myself, Sean, what, do you want to do music? Yes. Okay. Well, put it out there. Put it out there into the universe, put it out there. You don't know, I would always think about what other people were going to say before, like, how like you are with your girlfriend, you'd be like, it's not mixed yet, and that's the one thing I had to stop doing too. It's like, stop criticizing something, let people listen to it, because you're already dampening it and, hindering your creative work. So, now I just I still have a standard. It's not that I'm just like, all right, I just throw something together.
Yeah.
Whatever. I still have a standard, but I'm not as extreme with it as I was when I was younger. And I was also comparing myself to a lot of different artists too. Artists I was seeing on YouTube, I mean, for example, your bass covers. I was like, I want to do bass covers, but I was like, well, I don't have a bass like that. My mom had bought me this, like, I love my mom, but it was not a good bass.
Yeah.
It was like I still have it actually. It's I keep it kind of as a memento, but it's a Starcaster. And dude, yeah, that bass, come on, it's like, it's not the best. Yeah. So it looks like a Fender jazz bass, but it's not. And so you kind of do want to have standards, but you also want to have realistic standards. It's kind of like finding that balance and stuff. So like, even when I wanted to do covers, I was like, how to, bass covers. Then I would look and this guy would have like a plethora of pedals. And I'm like, well, I don't even have pedals. And then it's like, and then he's like, well, I got this computer and I got this software to make my bass sound like this. And this is how I record. And I got this HD camera. So because I'm looking at his standard, now I'm preventing myself from doing something because I'm like, well, it's not matching up. So, yeah.
Man, like when it's funny because like when I first, bro, like I didn't have a tripod when I first started doing it. I literally one day just said, I'm just gonna try it, whatever. Right. Because I was terrified of what the internet would have thought about me, right? But I'm like, I need to challenge this. Whatever this thing is, I need to shake it. I want to step off into the deep end. You know what I mean? Right. And one thing, like for example, I would set my tripod. I would set my camera up in my little clothes closet, with the little shelves. I fold my jeans in a particular way where my camera could sit up on it. And in some of the videos, you can see the jeans in the actual thing, which is kind of blurred out.
Right.
But for me, it was like, yo, I just need to, if I could just, the mission is to just put it out there. Still play something that's up to your standard and it's still something that's going to be worth people spending the time to watch it.
Right.
But put your best foot forward and put it out there and see what happens.
Right. Yeah.
And I think the one thing that like I find that I'm noticing with a lot, or I've noticed over the years with people is like the perfectionism almost acts as like a self-sabotage in a way, because it's like, well, I'm going to try, but like, it's not going to be perfect. So since it can't ever reach a standard, there's no point. Right. So you don't ever put your best foot forward. You let someone else's standard come in and then it throws you off your game. Right.
Right.
I think ultimately that the ability to just kind of be self-reflective as you were, to be like, this, what can I do to challenge myself and just put myself out there, can help to alleviate some of that anxiety